All right. All right. Welcome to 32andGoal. I am your host, Corey. Today we got Robbie and Tyler on with us. So let's start off talking about yesterday's game. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but it was a pretty one-sided game, I thought.
Yeah, that game was a complete blowout. I mean, the Cardinals just looked god-awful. I mean, it was an exciting game going into it, like nothing I really look forward to with how, both teams have been playing mediocre this season, and yesterday was definitely something to show for it.
They really have, though.
Yeah, the Cardinals might have be able to beat a college team, but that's a big might. So they're pretty awful.
Are we gonna really get into that whole debate right now?
So we might as well.
Can Alabama beat the Cardinals? I don't know, man. Even with the Cardinals at the worst, they just got rid of they just fired Mike McCoy, so they might have a different season going forward. But there's no way the best college team could take them.
See, the thing is, though, is that the Cardinals have been struggling. Like, they've been drafted for one way, and then now they're trying to bring in a completely new scheme into it that players aren't fitting into, whereas at Alabama, Nick Saban has something his players fit in that scheme, and they're drilled for that. So I think it would be a closer game than what you would actually think.
I mean, I think that's a fair point.
No, it wasn't. It
What?
wouldn't even be close.
I mean, it's a fair point, but yeah, there's no way, dude.
There is maybe 7 or 8 players on the Alabama team right now who are college or NFL ready, and every single player on the Cardinals is in the NFL for a reason. There's
Right.
no way it would ever happen.
Seriously, Rosen would throw all over, the best Alabama's defense. Freeman would run all over them. It's like, there's no way. Their offensive line would just plow through Bama's defense in a heartbeat.
Maybe the Cardinals should schedule that as kind of a pick-me-up game so they can actually be proud about something this season.
I mean, who they got going forward? I don't think their schedule's too tough, is it? Going forward? What? I mean,
They're going to have to face the Rams.
they got the 49ers next. They got the 49ers next.
I don't think they'll win.
Then they got the Chiefs. Then they got the Raiders. They could beat the Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders aren't looking very good at all.
Yeah. So, I mean, they very well could beat the Raiders. Especially, with Mike McCoy getting fired, them having a new offensive line, maybe they'll start using Freeman correctly, instead of having him run up the middle every single play for some reason. Dude, I was on the Arizona Cardinals subreddit today, and there's this post with 822 likes that just says the Cardinals have fired OC Mike McCoy. And everyone in that thread is acting like they just slayed the local dragon and everyone's coming out of their houses like rejoicing. The top comment, it's over. It's finally over. Like, I don't think he was too well liked there.
He's been bad for a while.
Yeah, he's been absolutely terrible for a while. Arizona's like easily looking like the worst team in the league though right now. But
Absolutely.
that changes. I feel like that changes
I'd be
weekly.
curious to see how them and the Giants would face up against each other.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Saquon Barkley would do work on them.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that Giants have the far superior athlete that would be able to carry them through the mess, but that Giants locker room is in shambles right now.
Yeah, but I feel like a win over the Cardinals would get them back in. But yeah, so that was pretty much a blowout. I know you guys changed your guys' predictions last second. But
I really thought the Cardinals would be able to put together something. I mean, that front line for Keenum wasn't the greatest, and they couldn't do anything.
no, they couldn't. I mean, we're also looking at a Broncos team that did okay against they did okay against the Chiefs.
Yeah, I thought the Broncos were going to be better going forward than last week. They didn't do so well, so I don't know. This Broncos team seems to be a little bit unpredictable. I think they got a solid player base. going forward that could help. They could definitely pull out some few wins. I think there'll be a struggle to get into the playoffs, but they definitely will have a good team for a few years here.
The Broncos? I don't know. What are your thoughts, Rab?
Yeah, I changed my prediction from the Broncos to the Cardinals at last second. Just really the Cardinals would kind of put together this game. I thought they would show signs of life, but oh my God, are they horrible?
Dude, they have talent though. That's why it's so frustrating. I don't even like
this. And the Broncos, I think the Broncos, like they picked up Case Keenum this offseason, and I think they're kind of regretting it in a way.
Mm-hmm.
He's thrown an interception in every single game so far, and he's not the guy moving forward in the next 3 years. I think he'll be a good addition for maybe until they draft the next guy. I don't see Case Keenum being that guy, and I think he got lucky last year with the Vikings, just because he had. I think a better defense and also some more talent on the offense. But I just don't like Case Keenum as a quarterback. I think he's very, very overrated.
Yeah. I mean, he did all right. But, there was a couple times when, like, Arizona's defense was just blowing coverage, so it made Case Keenum look like he was, top 10 quarterback that game. So.
Yeah. Yeah, and Patrick Peterson, oh my God, he's incredible, man. He's like the best man cover corner right now in the game. I think him and Richard Sherman, I think, are tied.
Yeah. Richard Sherman, huh?
Richard Sherman is actually doing a lot better than people think he is. You just don't hear his name a lot this year. I think that's because he's kind of toned down his attitude, and he's playing pretty well.
Well, yeah, he can no longer just say LOB all the time. I might be in the minority as a non-Seahawks fan. I actually liked Richard Sherman when he was on the Seahawks. I was just watching highlight videos of him the other day. He did pretty well. It was I think it was before we played the 49ers, when Richard Sherman is on the 49ers now. And we didn't throw Matthew Stafford didn't throw his way almost like all game, just because I think he's still doing really well, and that's why people are still kind of afraid to throw to him. That's why you're not hearing his name that much this year.
And I think another thing is that he doesn't have the supporting cast that he did when he was part of the Legion of Boom, so he's not able to play as aggressively. I mean, age has something to do with it as well.
Right.
Where he can't play as aggressively to go out and make those plays. I mean, he got burnt one time, I think, by Adams in our game, and he got hit with that penalty there at the end that allowed us to go down and win the drive this past Monday. But he's still very well. He made some key veteran calls out there. Like, he was supposed to cover someone else, and he told one of his rookies, get out. I got Adams,
Mm-hmm.
So he's still making, veteran calls and veteran plays. It's just, like you said, that he's being solid and doing his job right. So
yeah,
we're not talking about him much.
Yeah, he did all right. I mean, it's hard to cover, cornerbacks or wide receivers when, Matthew Stafford or Aaron Rodgers is thrown to him still. But, I mean, he did really well against you guys. He did really well against us.
I mean,
so
we got a saying, like, in security, a boring day in security is a good day in security. Well, a boring day in being a quarterback is a good day at being a quarterback. It means you're doing your coverage right, where the QB's not looking your way. They're afraid to throw it over there.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's move on to week 7. So Broncos Cardinals, just talked about that. Check. Titans Chargers.
A London game.
9:30 game too at that. So we get football all day, 4 games.
Is it me, or do these London games always seem like, I feel like I always get excited for them, but then they just feel kind of low scoring and lackluster?
I always find like one team blows another team out. It's never like close. It's just one team dominating.
The last time,
unfortunately, I think we're going to get more of that this year with the Tennessee Titans, how they've been playing.
The Lions won in with a 55, 57-yard field goal in London once. That was awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. That's the only game I remember from London actually like coming down to the last minute. I just every time a London game happens, it seems like one team just blows out the other team.
Yeah, exactly. Matt Prater kicked the field goal, and I forgot who we were playing. I think it was the Raiders, and they went off sides. Or no, we got a delay of game, and he missed the field goal, and then they pushed him back 5 yards, and then he kicked the field goal and it went in. I remember listening to that in my car because we didn't have the channel. ran around Sabina's yard screaming. But yeah, so who do you guys got winning? Titans, Chargers?
I got the Chargers winning this one. That offense, not Josh Gordon, but Melvin Gordon, he has been just lights out. I mean, the guy that won $1 million last week had both Todd Gurley and Melvin Gordon in it on DraftKings. He's just been amazing. And then to back him up, you got Phillip Rivers and Keenan Allen. You can't ask for a much better offense. Their defense has been struggling this year, but I think the Titans' offense has been struggling more than their defense. And whenever Joey Bosa comes back, that Chargers defense is going to improve significantly. So, I think the Chargers will probably blow this one out of the water.
Yeah. I mean, defensive-wise, go ahead. Go ahead.
You never know what Titans team is going to show up, it seems like. Sometimes they'll have really good games, and then sometimes they just shit the bed.
Right.
And like last week, they didn't score any points, and Marcus Mariota got sacked 11 times. So who are the Titans?
Yeah, I don't know. Defensively, they're only allowing 17.8 points per game. That's third in the NFL. But they're like, otherwise, they're not doing that well. I mean, they got what did I write down? 12th ranked defense, 8th in passing, 27th in rushing. They got the 27th ranked defense in rushing when they're going up against, a really good running back this week. I think he's going to eat him alive.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're talking about the top two, probably the second best running back in the league right now next to Gurley. And he can do everything too. Pass, run, catch. He's going to just destroy them.
Yeah. Melvin Gordon already has 6 touchdowns on the season, 466 rushing yards and 279 receiving yards. Oh, and 3 receiving touchdowns. So realistically, he has 9 touchdowns already this season. That's insane. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing, the Chargers, man, they when they do get Joey Bosa back, that defense is going to be dangerous. Their rookie, Derwin James, dude is tearing it up this year, and I really wish the Packers would have picked him up. I'm happy with our 2 corners that we got, but Derwin James was right there, and he's an impact player right now, and I'm really kicking the Packers for not picking that guy.
Especially when Alexander, I love the kid, but he's dealing with injuries right now, so, it's kind of a struggle to watch him deal with injuries, while this other rookie is killing it.
Derwin James does have 28 solo tackles, 6 passes deflected, 1 interception. Yeah,
he's a great player.
He's doing work.
But I think the Chargers are just overshadowed right now, I think, by the Chiefs. Chiefs are tearing it up. Mahomes is the big story, and you got the Chargers that are quietly making huge plays and pulling out big wins. They're only 1 game behind.
Yeah, they're only 1 game now.
Yeah, I really like the Chargers in this game especially, but I can honestly see the Chargers winning that division.
Seriously?
Yeah, and I mean, every year the Chiefs seem to go 5-0, and then somehow shit the bed. And the Chargers, like you said, they are being overshadowed. And we talked about it a few weeks ago, how Melvin Gordon, Keenan Allen, and Phillip Rivers are always kind of like the dark horse on the back, but always seem to put up good numbers. And being in the same division with the Chiefs, I mean, that's just 2 high-octane offenses that are going to be duking it out. And probably the top, two of the top three teams in the AFC this year in one division. So it's going to make a shootout for the end of the season to see who gets that bye week, and then possibly another shootout again in the playoffs in one of the divisional games or a championship game.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because, you look at the AFC West, and you can pretty much at 1-5 count the Raiders out of winning that division. Broncos are only 2 games behind as well. And they're one of those teams that every week you're like, I don't know if they're going to do well this week. I don't know if they're going to do poor this week. But the Chargers and Chiefs are pretty consistent. And going forward, looking at the Chargers schedule for the next couple of games, they got the Titans, Seahawks, Raiders, Broncos, and Cardinals. That's 5 games in a row where as of right now, I would consider them the favorites. And, then they got the Steelers. But so I don't know, man. I do like Phillip Rivers. He's tearing it up. I think he's, like you said, quietly having a good year. He has 15 touchdowns on the season already.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is these players aren't getting talked about enough, in my opinion. I mean, for what they're doing over there, they're definitely being overshadowed by the Chiefs. And not that the Chiefs aren't doing great, but Phillip Rivers, I feel like he's always kind of overshadowed. You don't hear about him until at the end of the season when you're like, oh yeah, he also threw for 5,000 yards.
Right.
And yeah, this whole team's being overshadowed. And I think they're definitely going to come out and easily they could win that division, and they could make it very deep in the playoffs.
They're also getting overshadowed by the other market over there. The Rams. So,
Definitely.
Well, that's I talked about that. I don't remember with who, but basically when both those teams went into LA, I told people that whoever was the better team first was going to be the ones with the market, and that's basically what happened there. I don't know. So I would
That's a good.
I would
that's
like
a
to
good
see.
read.
Yeah. I would like to see the Chargers go back to San Diego.
Yeah, I would like to see that too. I don't know why they left San Diego. I feel like they had a decent following.
Exactly.
I think I saw that the Chargers are under contract to play in LA until 2040.
Until 2040?
That is insane.
That's insane. That's absolutely crazy. Oh my gosh. Do you know how long the Rams are contracted to play there for?
No, I don't.
We
could possibly this year have a 2 LA team Super Bowl. I don't think that's been brought up yet, but that's kind of insane to talk about, is 2 teams from the same city could be playing in the Super Bowl.
That would be crazy.
And neither team would have a home fan base.
Where's the Super Bowl at this year?
Isn't it Atlanta?
Is it in Atlanta? I don't know.
Sure, it's Atlanta.
I think it's at Atlanta at the new stadium that they built.
Oh, Mercedes-Benz Stadium? Yeah, it looks like it's in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Yeah, that'd be nuts. I would like to see LA. Well, I'd rather see Detroit Browns or something, but whatever. What can you do? But yeah, Packers got away with a win last week. Kind of got lucky, but let's move on. So, who else we got? We have not really talked about a lot of games yet. Let's skip over some of these guys because let's just. I don't really want to talk about the Colts Jets, or they don't play. That was last week. Who do we got next? Where's week 7? Here we go. Panthers Eagles. Actually, we can talk about the Panthers Eagles real quick. I think that's gonna be a pretty good game. Cam Newton's, I think, doing pretty well. Carson Wentz isn't doing as well as I thought he was going to do coming back, but he's still doing really well. The Eagles, I feel like the Eagles spent too much of their offseason celebrating their Super Bowl that they just came back looking like a completely different team.
Well, Super Bowl hangover is a big thing, right? And this team is led by Carson Wentz, and I think him not being there to play right away affected the team. And actually, I think him coming back, he's actually doing a lot better than I thought he was. I just checked his stats. He's got 8 touchdowns and 1 interception. he's not putting up huge numbers yet, and I think the NFL right now is just in a weird place where people are like, "Oh, Patrick Mahomes. Oh, here's Brady still doing his thing," and blah blah blah. And a lot of these guys are getting a little overshadowed, but he's playing solid. And this is a big game for both these teams because if the Eagles lose, they go to a losing record. If the Panthers lose, they go to 500. So this game is going to impact records down the line. And I don't know. I think it'll be a really close game.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really see either one of these teams pulling ahead. I do have... Who do I have winning this game? I should really have this brought up. I have the Panthers winning, actually. So, I don't know. I just have the Panthers winning. The problem with... The problem with the Panthers this year is that team is heavily reliant on two guys, and that's it. You got... Well, their offense anyway. You got McCaffrey and Cam Newton. And, Funches, you could make a argument that, he's doing all right, 2 touchdowns. But, Christian McCaffrey is 238 receiving yards, 349 rushing yards. 0 touchdowns, but, 1 receiving touchdown. But Cam Newton, 9 touchdowns. So, I don't know. That team is too heavily reliant on 2 guys. So it's going to be a little bit harder, for them to...
I don't have a big guy either. Greg Olsen. I think they're struggling a little bit without him, pushing the red zone. I like the Eagles in this one, though, man. I think they're starting to find their rhythm, and it's at Philadelphia, and I think they're going to pull this one out. I think it'll be close, but I think they'll get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Eagles got this one. Carson Wentz is looking better and better each week. I mean, if you look at his numbers compared to Cam Newton, they're pretty even, but then you realize Carson Wentz has only played 4 games this season.
Right.
And so I think each week he's getting better. Alshon Jeffrey is going to get better. The biggest thing that's going to hold the Eagles team back this year is going to be that lack of a run game. With the Jahi game placed on IR, that's a big blow. They don't really have anyone to take that full-time load spot. I was hoping that they would trade for Bell. I think that would be an immense improvement for him, and I'm sure fantasy owners around the world would agree with me that they just want to see Bell on the field somewhere. But I think this game, the Panthers, are another one of those teams that they can show up one week or the next week. There's been a lot of teams like that this year, but I think the Eagles, with Wentz steady improvements, he's going to be able to lead them to a victory in this one.
Yeah, I guess to be fair, I'm sticking with the Panthers on this one, but to be fair, the Philadelphia Eagles rush defense is a lot better than their passing defense. And, like I was saying earlier, the Panthers rely heavily on their rushing game with Cam Newton and McCaffrey. So I think it'll be interesting.
And with Greg Olsen being back, that's going to take off some targets from McCaffrey as well, so he's not going to have as big of a game.
Yeah, and Zach Ertz is doing pretty well as well for the Eagles. Alshon Jeffrey as well. So I don't know. We'll see. Is Jay Ajayi back?
No, he got placed on IR.
He did get placed on IR. That's right. You're right on that one. All right. Next game. Vikings Jets. Gross.
This is a game I feel like you gotta say like the Vikings are gonna win, but the way the Jets had played this season, like how sporadic they have been, and then just how awful the Vikings have been a few times this season, this could go the Jets' way as well. I mean, Sam Darnold's a young rookie quarterback. He's improving each week, but he's going up against easily one of the best defenses in the league. And then you can't ever count out Adam Thielen and Kirk Cousins. I mean, Thielen is just a catching machine.
Yeah.
And the yardage, but the Vikings don't have a run game. Dalvin Cook is out again, and their run game is essentially non-existent at this point, so they're going to rely heavily through the air. And if the Jets cornerbacks, if they can pull half of what they...
Are you still there? Rob?
Yeah, I'm here at least. Okay. So yeah, so one thing that Fallen was talking about is they're going to rely heavily on their passing game. Um, and if the Jets can get after these guys, it's going to be a dangerous game. They are second in the league right now in interceptions. Um, but they're kind of relying on Sam Darnold, rookie going up against his defense. It's in New York, but I got to go with a hot hand right now, and I got to go Minnesota. I think experience is just going to be the key for this game. But unless the Jets can shut them down, I don't see him pulling it out.
Yeah, exactly. Sam Darnold, he has very rookie tendencies right now, I think. When he's hot, he's hot. When he's not, he's not. And, he was hot the first game, struggled a couple games. But, Kirk Cousins is always hot, They have probably one of the best receiving cores in the game there in Minnesota. And, Thielen and Diggs. And you can't count out Rudolph as well, but, so that team's even with... What's up?
Well, to the 6 games that in a row that Adam Thielen's got 100 yards or plus, that's an NFL record.
Yeah.
He's tearing it up. He might be one of the best receivers in the NFL. He probably is. And if they can get him going again, and Diggs too, is going to be a dangerous team moving forward. I think they had some difficulties in the beginning, but I still think it's kind of their division to lose in the NFC North.
The Vikings? I agree. Maybe. I think it's the Bears division to lose right now. But, that goes back to, a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about it, that team relies heavily on whether Trubisky does well or not. Where, the Vikings, they're all around pretty good. So, yeah, I guess you're right. I can go with that. I mean, the Vikings going forward have a pretty tough schedule. Saints, Lions, Bears, Packers, Patriots. 5 games in a row.
NFC North this year has a hard schedule, I'll say that.
Yeah. We don't have really any easy games, But I agree with you. I also have the Vikings winning this game. Yeah. Colts, Bills.
I'll give me the Colts all day.
Colts.
Dude, the Bills offense is going to be horrible this week. They had to bring in Derek Anderson this week, and he's starting. That is how bad Nathan Peterman is, and that's also how bad Josh Allen has been. He's injured this week, so that's why they're not starting him. But God, the Bills. I think the biggest story in the NFL shouldn't be about flags or the Chiefs' hot start or the Patriots, how they're always consistently good. It should be that the Bills have 2 wins. That should honestly be the biggest. Because besides them or the Cardinals, those 2 teams, I think, are the worst teams in the NFL right now, the Bills and the Cardinals.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. And one of those wins is against the Vikings, which is absolutely hilarious. The other is against the Titans. But they shut down the Vikings. It wasn't even like they barely won. They just destroyed the Vikings, in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Who we were just
weird game.
We were just talking about how they could easily, win the NFC North. But yeah, I agree. I don't see the Bills Titans game as something I'm going to even watch the highlights for. I'm not sure if T.Y. Hilton is playing this week or not. I know he had a couple full practices and limited practices Monday and Tuesday. But Eric Ebron is doing pretty good for them. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I really think we should talk about Andrew Luck too, and how well he's actually doing coming back. And he doesn't have a team around him right now.
Right.
And he's actually playing really well. He's working some kinks out and stuff from his shoulder, but if the dude had a team around him, he could easily take that team to the playoffs, but he just doesn't, and they have no weapons except for Ebron, and they need T.Y. Hilton back immediately.
He has 16 touchdowns on the season already. 16.
Andrew Luck does.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Dude, that's incredible.
That's crazy. 6 of them are to Eric Ebron, 2 of them are T.Y. Hilton, but that's something not a lot of people are talking about. 1,792 yards, 88.8 rating. He has 8
It's because of the
interceptions,
one.
but
They're hurting. This team, they need a lot of pieces still in place moving forward. But Andrew Luck, it's important that he's on a 1-5 team because you could almost put him into consideration of MVP. I feel like,
especially because, like, the AFC South, the Titans, the Texans, Jags, and Colts, that division doesn't really have a front runner either. 3 of the teams are sitting at 3-3, and then Colts are 1-5, so they're only 2 games behind.
yeah, and I could easily see a team going 7-9 and winning that division this year, or 8-8.
Yeah.
The AFC South actually has a negative point differential. The only division in the league to have that right now. That is probably the worst division in the league right now. And like you said, there is not really a front runner. Tennessee's in the lead right now, but Houston looks awful all the time. They're pulling out lucky wins. Jacksonville, who knows about Jacksonville? And then Tennessee got shut out last week, and they're in the division lead. So honestly, man, if the Colts can put together a few wins here, they might be in control of that division soon.
Who do they got going forward? They have the Bills this weekend, the Raiders, the Jags division game, Titans division game, Dolphins, Jags, Texans, Cowboys, Giants, Titans. Oh my gosh.
You win all those.
They could easily win all those, especially if T.Y. Hilton comes back. And so they could come back from that. And like normally if a team's, that far behind in the rankings, 1-5, I would count them out almost every time. But to be 1-5 and still only 2 games behind the leader is crazy. It's crazy.
You start winning games though.
And yeah, the Jags, I thought they were going to be a completely different team when they beat the Patriots this year. And then, they ended up losing to the Chiefs, which hurt them. And, but like I feel like the Jags are probably the strongest team in that division right now, but none of them are really that strong. So
if I had to pick one team right now, I'd say Jaguars just from experience and last year, but I would not feel comfortable about picking them.
Yeah, I honestly think I would pick the Colts. I feel like the Colts could come back from 1-5. The Texans too. Deshaun Watson is a threat, but they have one of the best receivers in the game on that team. But I don't know, man. Nothing.
Yeah, he's just taking two.
Nothing in that is kind of like, they're winning. None of those seem like winning teams. But sorry if you guys are fans of the AFC South, but yeah, y'all need to step it up a little bit. All right. Next game. Who's the next game? The next game is the New England Patriots versus the Chicago Bears. So that's probably going to be the game of the week, huh?
So, yeah, I was just actually about to say that, man. Like, if you look at the rest of the games on the schedule, yeah, I think this is the game of the week. This is a game that I think the Bears show who they are. And they show who they are in a good way and a bad way, though. Like, if they win, like, there's gonna be huge headlines, right? Like, the Bears are gonna win the NFC North, they're gonna win the Super Bowl, blah blah blah. Lose, and depending on how they lose, it's gonna be really telling of that team. Or they might not, because the Patriots, and everyone just expects the Patriots to win anyway. But this game is on Soldier Field, and Khalil Mack is a little banged up.
Yeah, he hurt his ankle last week.
Yep. So I think the Patriots win this one. I think it'll be close. I think Brady will be under pressure all game, but like you said earlier, man, they're relying on Trubisky, and I don't think he is the guy just yet.
I agree. When we talk about this, week in, week out, about Mitchell Trubisky, if he can squeeze his way up even to the top half, I think they have a Super Bowl contender. But, he has 11 touchdowns on the season. 9 of them are in the last 2 games. 7 of those, I think it was 6, were against, the Buccaneers, though. And, Khalil Mack, 5 sacks, 2 passes deflected, 1 interception, 1 touchdown, 4 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. And Akeem Hicks has 3 sacks and 3 forced fumbles. But Akeem Hicks, without Khalil Mack out there, doesn't really do much. Whenever, Khalil Mack has to sit on the bench, get some rest, Akeem Hicks really can't put the pressure on defending or opposing quarterbacks because, people are putting 2-3 players on Khalil Mack. So it just kind of leaves Akeem Hicks and the other guys, one-on-one coverage, and it kind of forces them. And that's another thing. Their secondary, because they're only blitzing, or not blitzing, but only 4 or 5 people on the line, they have the opportunity to bring back their linebackers, have more coverage in the secondary, which making their secondary look good. They're not going to be able to do that without Khalil Mack. And they're definitely not going to put up that great of a fight secondary-wise against, probably the most offensive receiving core in the game. I know I said that about the Vikings, but we got Josh Gordon, Edelman, Gronkowski, White. All these guys are performing. Edelman's finally getting back in the groove. I feel like Gordon's kind of caught up with the Patriots scheme. I think it's going to be a good game, but I also agree. I think it's going to go to the Patriots. So, even at Soldier Field,
which I hate. But until Brady shows signs of regressing, which he has not. Everyone wanted to say this is the year finally they did it, but dude, the Patriots are gonna be good for the next 5-10 years. Who knows?
Dude, seriously.
Until Brady retires and that goes away.
They were talking about that early in the season about Brady regressing, especially after that loss to the Jags and after that loss to the Lions. But this past week, against Kansas City, Brady shows that he still has the endurance to go toe-to-toe with probably one of the most dynamic quarterbacks this year. He's 41 and he still can go toe-to-toe with, these young guys.
And that's the thing, everyone's like, well, to beat the Chiefs, you got to score points. And they did.
Yeah, they did. They absolutely did.
They did. Yeah.
And so, there's always that big debate, whether an offense or defense wins games. And, the Chiefs and Patriots both have just really good offenses. So, I don't know. I guess that we'll put that debate to rest when we see the Chiefs defense going against the Patriots offense this week. So, I don't think Trubisky has the skill, but, of course I'm going to say that. Rob Gronkowski has 405 yards in the season. But Bears do have 8 different players with interceptions. So, it's going to be a crazy game. It's going to be an absolutely crazy game. And, if it wasn't on 1 o'clock, I'd watch it.
So, their defense, I think they have the least amount of blitzes in the league.
They do.
And, and that's because their defensive line is so good. But if Khalil Mack isn't there, man, I feel like Brady's going to be able to get the ball off. Khalil Mack is playing, and they pressure Brady all the game. It could be a long game for the Patriots. This is a very interesting game.
It is a very interesting game. Chicago has one of the best rush defenses, but the Patriots don't really have a great rushing team. And they also, the Chicago Bears also have one of the best secondaries, but, is that because Khalil Mack's putting so much pressure on these quarterbacks and they're just throwing it away? I don't know. And
I think it is. I think that the Patriots will be able to exploit that. I mean, as Tom Brady, especially if Khalil Mack's not there.
Yeah, and of course the New England Patriots have, they've always put a lot of money into their protection of Brady. So their offensive line is decent. So, I don't know.
Yeah, and then like you guys have been saying with Trubinsky, we saw an amazing game last Sunday night between Brady and Patrick Mahomes, and I don't think Trubinsky is in that same league where he can compete with the shootout with Brady like Mahomes did.
Right.
Why do you always call him?
Yeah. Why you keep adding an N, dude?
Put an N there.
But yeah, I agree. I don't know. I think he can do all right. You know, I don't think he's the quarterback that the Bears thought he was going to be. You know, the quarterback you trade up for.
Yeah, for trading up the second pick of the draft for him.
I mean, they probably could have got him without doing that, but
Yeah, I agree. I think someone that's going to have a big game this week for the Bears offense, though, I'm running them in DraftKings this week, is Tariq Cohen. Something a lot of people haven't talked about, unless you listen to some fantasy podcasts, is the Patriots allow a lot of rushing, or not rushing. They don't allow a whole lot of rushing yards, but they allow a lot of receiving yards to running backs. And I think if they try to get after Trubinsky, Tariq Cohen is going to have one hell of a game. Jordan Howard's touches have gone down week by week. And Tariq Cohen, I think, is going to be the Bears guy this game if they want to stay into it and if they want to win.
I mean, the Patriots are the team that Kerryon Johnson from the Detroit Lions broke the 70-game non-100 rushing yard curse against. So, you know, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, that was just a great game by the Lions, though, who actually got a run game going. But if you look at Hunt last week, a lot of his yards were through the air.
But, all right, let's move on. Who do you got winning, by the way? Pats?
I got the Patriots winning that one. I think it could be a close game, but you can't count Tom Brady out. And with Khalil Mack injured, I don't know. It's the Patriots. So you got to give respect where respect's due.
Right. Okay, moving on. Browns Buccaneers. I don't want to talk about this game too much. I don't think it's gonna be that exciting.
I think this one's going to be a shootout.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be a terrible game.
I think it's gonna be interesting seeing Nick Chubb. I want to see Nick Chubb do some work. Now that
Nick Chubb is going to be.
Carlos Hyde is gone.
I think he's going to be active. I'm rolling Baker Mayfield this week in DraftKings because I think he's got a chance to put up huge numbers against that Tampa Bay defense who has been struggling all year. Njoku, I think, is going to have a monster game.
You know,
it's going to be, especially with Hyde being traded. I think it's going to be a lot of passes through the air. Depending on what Winston shows up, it could be just a super high scoring game.
I'm surprised they only traded Carlos Hyde for a 5th-round pick. I feel like they could have got 4th at least or 3rd. I mean, a lot of people, you know, have been hating on Carlos Hyde this year, but he's doing okay. And, you know, Nick Chubb is going to have pretty much his breakout game this week. He's going to probably get the most touches he's had all season. You know, but like they're going against the 3rd best rushing defense in the league in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So it's going to be interesting to see if he has what it takes, I guess, to lead that Browns, you know, rushing game. So I don't know. It'd be interesting. I'm trying to click on the Browns real quick.
Anyways, I think this game's gonna be horrible. You convinced me to pick the Browns last week to win, and I'm super mad at you for that because the Chargers rolled all over them. I picked the Buccaneers in this game. I think the final score is gonna be like 12-5 or something like that.
Oh no! I think these are two defenses that have allowed quite a few points on a piece, and
but
with two quarterbacks that can both pop off.
The offenses are horrible. Baker Mayfield's going to struggle. Jameis Winston's going to suck like he always does. It's going to be like 12-5. Give me the Buccaneers to win.
Well, to be fair, I said last week the Chargers were going to beat the Browns. So, but the week before that, I called the Browns winning. So, I actually have the Browns winning this game as well. You know, Baker Mayfield's doing work.
The Browns winning this game. Plus, it wins me a lot of money if they do.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield's doing okay. He only has a 55% pass completion, 72.8 rating. Carlos Hyde, 382 yards, but he had 114 attempts. You know, Nick Chubb, like I said, is going to probably get more touches this game than he had all season. And
Yeah, because Carlos.
yeah, so that'll be
I'll say,
interesting.
well, yeah, Duke Johnson's their passing or running back, so Chubb's probably gonna get the rushes.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Texans, Jags. I don't even have any notes for this game because I was just like, eh.
Yeah, this game, I think the Jags' biggest thing, I mean, their defense is obviously in a funk, but their offense, I mean, with the addition of Hyde, it'll help. But Blake Bortles is just so lackluster and a team that I thought would be so good this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I have the Jags winning it. They have a decent secondary down there in Jacksonville. And the Texans really don't have a great passing game. You know, Deshaun Watson is a gunslinger. And I've said that last year. I said it this year. But I feel like sometimes he gets too cocky with his throws. You know, he has DeAndre Hopkins to bail him out. But who else does he have? Will Fuller?
Will Fuller, QT.
QT?
Yeah.
Like,
he doesn't really have any running backs.
And so
nothing that stands out anyway.
You know, with this Jacksonville Jaguars team and their secondary, you know, they have a really good secondary, you know, especially with Boyd and Gibson. So
Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey as well. You know, pretty much that whole team. Miles Jack even has an interception. And
so one big thing you guys have mentioned so far about the Texans, guess how many sacks Deshaun Watson has taken this year?
Is he the most?
He has been beaten up.
25.
25?
25 sacks this year.
25 already?
Their offensive line is horrible.
It's only the 6th
25 sacks,
game.
yes.
And that's not including the hits he takes when he runs the ball.
Yeah.
That's more sacks than that's more sacks than whole teams had last year.
Yeah, I honestly think the Jaguars are going to shut out the Texans in this game. I think they're going to get right to Deshaun Watson, disrupt him. He's going to make a lot of bad mistakes like he's done all year so far. Give me the Jaguars in this one, especially it's in Jacksonville too.
Yeah, Jacksonville. All day. Jacksonville. I feel like I would honestly like
the big bounce back.
I don't know why I don't like Jacksonville Jaguars that much. I feel like I should. I mean, they're in the AFC.
Hey, I would agree with Jacksonville. I feel like both these teams need a turnaround point, and I think Jacksonville's going to hit there first. I mean, I love Deshaun Watson. I think he's a great player. I want to see him succeed. But I feel like this Texans team needs to invest in a run game to help protect Deshaun Watson, because that's a ridiculous amount of sacks. And plus, he keeps putting his body, like you said, sometimes he makes bad decisions and he keeps throwing his body out there. Like, he puts winning on the line too much. And he's going to have a high potential to get hurt here soon again.
Seriously, though.
I don't want to see it. So I think the Texans really need to invest in a run game, hopefully next year. And I think they'll be a better team. But, yeah, this year I think is definitely Jaguars.
Seriously, though, the Titans play the Chargers. We both have them losing. So whoever wins this game between the Texans and the Jags is going to be the first in the AFC South if the Titans don't win, which they're playing the Chargers. You know, it's in London, so we already talked about that. But yeah, I'm surprised, you know, like you were saying, with the lack of run game, why the Texans didn't go after Carlos Hyde for that same, you know.
Yeah, because, I mean, the Texans, they had Lamar Miller, but their run game has been, you know, their running backs, they're like, oh, you know, Elon Blue ran the ball, and you're like, who's this guy? Like, he's been on their team for years, but, you know, their running backs are just a bunch of, you know, nobodies and it doesn't help Deshaun Watson, who feels like he's going to run it himself.
Seriously, he has 203 rushing yards, but no one's on that team is good. They have you know, Lamar Miller, Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, and then of course J.J. Watt, who's doing really well, 7 sacks.
Clowney's a pretty good rusher, but
you know, J.J. Watt's killing it.
And they got the Honey Badger now too.
They do have the Honey Badger. All right, let's move on. I got but I got Jags winning that game, like I said. So next game is the Detroit Lions versus Dolphins. Who you guys got winning?
I'm just kidding. So this is a game that the Lions should win, but by saying that, they will lose.
Yeah, it's weird, huh?
No. I don't know. This one's kind of hard to pick, man. Like, if they had Tannehill in, I would feel better about picking the Dolphins. But Brock Lobster is so inconsistent. Yeah, I'll pick the
He's
Lions in this
bad.
one.
He's not Nate Peterman bad, but he's bad.
I'm gonna pick the Lions as well.
Yeah, I gotta go Lions. I mean, if they lose, it's gonna be their game that they lost.
I feel like the last time we all
I can't
chose
put
Lions, they
much
lost.
faith in this Dolphins team. I mean, they started off good, but then they got their asses handed to them, and then they come back and beat a tough Bears defense.
Yeah.
With a backup quarterback and Brock Osweiler. But stats came out that Brock Osweiler has beaten the Bears every single time he's started against them, for his first start. So maybe he's just, for whatever reason, he's just got the magic hand against the Bears.
Yeah, another thing.
I don't see that carrying over against the Lions team that has been improving week in and week out, that's coming off a bye. They're
coming off a bye, which helps a lot because, Marvin Jones was like a little shaken up. Kerryon Johnson, had an ankle issue. That bye week is going to help their offense a lot. They're still going to be missing Ziggy Ansah, which hurts their defense kind of. I mean, he hasn't really played for the Lions in who knows how long, but as soon as his contract is done, I think they'll be better off. But Frank Gore is going to be the difference maker, I think, in this game. Detroit Lions, though they are improving in their rushing defense, are still one of the worst. They're no longer 32nd, but they are 25th, allowing 729, 5.3. I think they're still, they're 30th in, yards per attempt. So, Frank Gore, even Kenyon Drake are going to be the difference makers.
Yeah, and you're right, because like last week, both those guys put up 150 yards together against a very tough Bears run defense.
Yeah.
And so I think if the Lions can limit that run, though, this week, they'll still win. But, yeah, that's definitely going to be the key for the Dolphins, is going to keep that on the ground and try to run it and keep it out of Matthew Stafford's hands. I mean, if you have any sort of lead, do not let that man have the ball.
And you want to... With Quinn being injured as well, he has a broken wrist, so I don't know how that's healed up over the past week, 2 weeks. He's probably still going to be rocking the cast. Darius Slay's going to do all right. Detroit Lions lead the league in secondary right now. But, we'll see how it goes. They only really lead realistically because they're coming off that bye week. But, they against the Detroit Lions... there's only been 97 completed passes against the Lions. With the second being Oakland with 115. So they're over, 15, almost 20 passes less than the next guys. So I don't know. I think that's mostly because people know they can just run the ball, but I don't know. I got the Lions winning. So.
Yeah, same.
Saints, Ravens. It's in Baltimore.
This will be an interesting game. You got Baltimore winning, huh?
No, I said it's in Baltimore.
It's in Baltimore. Yeah. So the big thing about the Ravens this year is that they haven't gonna have touchdown all year. And now they're going up against one of the most explosive offenses in the league. I don't know. This is a tough game to pick just because the Saints do struggle on the road at times, and Baltimore's playing a lot better than they usually are. I don't know. I think the Saints have the hot hand right now, and I like the Saints.
I also like the Saints. The Ravens kind of are weird this year. I don't know how else to say it. They blow out the Bills, which was expected. They get beat, or they beat the Steelers. They lose to the Browns. They beat the Titans. They lose to they beat the Broncos, lose to the Bengals. And it's like some of those teams I feel like should have been switched around, especially the Browns and the Steelers. I feel like they should have beat the Bengals, but the Bengals are also doing pretty well this year. I don't know, man. It's looking at some of these games and you're just like, what is going on with some of these teams? I also have the Saints winning, Drew Brees killing it all the time. I think he's going to. The Saints are coming off a bye week as well, right? They didn't play last week.
Yeah, they were on bye.
Yeah, so Brees is probably gonna throw his 400th touchdown or whatever, 500th touchdown, and I don't know what it is, whatever, in Baltimore. He's probably gonna do really well, and Rob's gonna lose by 0.1 points because they pulled him out 2 minutes to go. So.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna go against the grain on this one. I'm gonna go Ravens, just by how well their defense has been, and I think Joe Flacco has been doing really well this year as well.
Yeah.
And I think the Saints, the corners aren't the greatest, and they're gonna have to make a decision on who Lattimore covers. Is he gonna come cover Crabtree? Well, then you got Brown running on the outside, just going deep. Lattimore is fast enough to cover Brown, but then you got Crabtree who's just going to monster over everybody. So I think this is probably could potentially be another shootout. Being on the road, I just have to give it to the Ravens. Breeze always plays better at home than he does on the road, so I don't think he's going to be like completely amazing. I mean, it's Drew Brees though, so he's still going to do well, but I just think with how good the Ravens defense has played versus how well their offense is going to be able to keep up with Breeze, that it's got to be the Ravens.
Yeah. I'm going to respectfully disagree there. I think Drew Brees is just one of those guys that's always hard to play. The name alone is intimidating. The record holder.
I mean, he still hasn't thrown an interception. I mean, you got to give this guy immense respect. I love the guy. He's a tremendous football player. 11 touchdowns, no interceptions yet this year is outstanding. But I just think this one's going to be a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah. Cowboys, Redskins. Cowboys, Redskins. This is one of those games where I don't really care about again. You got America's team and the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott and all his glory and Ezekiel Elliott, whatever. But that team relies too heavily on two guys offensively, and their defense hasn't been doing that great this year. I'm gonna go with the Redskins on this one. Alex Smith has been having a decent year. He only has 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But I think they're doing all right down there. They're leading the division. Whoever wins this game is going to be number 1. But I don't know. I think it's gonna go to the Redskins. I like Alex Smith and the Redskins.
Yeah, I like Alex Smith and the Redskins as well, if nothing else, but for a little bit more consistency. I don't know if Dak can put the performance he put together last week again. Like you said, they've been relying heavily on Dak and Zeke, mainly Zeke. Last week, Dak actually put together some resemblance of a quarterback drive or very well quarterback game. But I think the Redskins will be able to pull this one out. This one will probably be a low-scoring affair.
Yeah.
Probably nothing too spectacular. But plus, I just can't pick the Cowboys to win.
Plus, Adrian Peterson's having a decent year for being like 60 years old.
Yeah, he is.
He 77 attempts, 339 yards.
Yeah, between him and Gore, they can go start their own geriatric league.
I'd watch. Rob, you got anything to say about that game?
People are like, oh, yeah. Well, people are like, yeah, that's probably, he had his best game last week, and he only threw 183 yards. The dude still hasn't thrown for 300 yards all year. If they didn't have Ezekiel Elliott, they'd be the worst team in the league probably too. I don't know, man. I'll pick the Redskins just because I don't like the Cowboys in general. But
I think
Exactly.
we all hate the Cowboys. It's
Yeah.
a general consensus on this podcast.
How's your best game? 183 yards and 2 touchdowns. How's that your best game after 6 games? Come on. And like, I honestly, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't think they're that good. I think I'm still a little bitter, but whatever. Moving on to the Rams 49ers.
geez. So like
I
the
mean,
49ers.
Can
I don't
enough be said about Todd Gurley?
Yeah. Robbie, what do you think?
The 49ers, I think their defense is actually a lot better than people give them for. The 49ers offense actually looked pretty good against Green Bay too. I hate saying that, but everybody's looking good against Green Bay. But it's not going to be close in this game. The Rams are going to come out and kill these guys. It might be even a bigger blowout than the Cardinals and Broncos. I think the Rams are the team to beat this year. So give me the Rams all day.
Yeah, I agree. You can't go against the Rams in any game at this point. Todd Gurley has been just outstanding, like on a different level than I have ever seen. And yeah, the 49ers, like, they definitely gave us a run for our money Monday night. Beathard has actually looked a lot better than I thought he would coming off the bench like that. But I feel like even with Cooper Kupp out for the Rams, this Rams offense has too many weapons with Cook and Woods, Todd Gurley. Goff has been playing amazing, and then that defense is still pretty great. And yeah, I think Beathard is going to have his hands full with that defensive line, and it's going to cost him to make a lot of mistakes.
Exactly. One thing a lot of people don't talk about with this 49ers, and what we were talking about a little bit earlier, is that no one's really talking about Richard Sherman on this team. Do I think he has what it takes to, stop this team? Maybe he can stop, Brandon Cooks, maybe Robert Woods, whoever they put him on. Probably not Robert Woods since he's a running back, but Brandon Cooks is also a running back.
What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah,
Both those guys are receivers.
I had a brain fart for a second. I was like, this makes no sense. Why did I write this down? But yeah, I'm going to be interested to see who he matches up against between those guys. I even have it.
Yeah,
Who does he match up against those two guys?
Right.
But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. 49ers are not a terrible team. They're pretty middle of the road in my personal opinion. I don't think, they're 1-5, right? They're 1-5 with their only win being lucky. And
yeah, who was that against? Yeah.
And so, it's going to be interesting. I think, I'm not going to pick the 49ers here, but I think they're going to put up a better fight than a lot of people are thinking. And I think it could easily be that fluke, like, how did this team lose to that team this game? We got to remember, it's not like college levels where like Alabama's going to beat up on like New Hope Community College and you're just like, yeah, this is going to be a bloodbath. They're still professional athletes. That being said, the Rams have better professional athletes, so I think they're still going to win, but I think it could easily be one of those games that's just like, how the fuck did the 49ers just put up that good of a fight and possibly win that game? So
Yeah, and I'll add to that. I mean, you're right. It's a divisional game, and it's in San Francisco. So if there was going to be an upset this week, you could argue definitely this game.
mhm.
I mean, San Francisco's shown, some signs here, and then that, LA defense, like, allowed a lot of points to the Vikings, and stuff like that. I mean, it's a shot in the dark, but I can see where you're at, where there definitely could be an upset, but just not enough of a chance where you would have any hope or prayer to pick this team to win.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pick them to win. I just think there could be. Jared Goff is just playing phenomenally. So 12 touchdowns, 110 passer rating. Compared to Bethard. With Jimmy G in there, it'd be a different story as well. But I don't know. It's weird because you look at these, who is going to stop the Rams this year? The remaining of their schedule is, the Packers, the Saints. That's going to be a high numbers game maybe. The Seahawks, the Chiefs. I forgot they played the Chiefs this year. Yeah, so they'll probably lose.
They should have the Chargers as well.
And the Bears and the Lions. And I don't think the Lions can beat them, but whatever. I'm going to go the Rams. This team is probably one of the best teams I've ever seen, fully. They're just dominating. I mean, their closest game was against the Broncos. Yeah. It was against the Broncos. So, anyway, let's move on. Who do we got next? We got the Bengals and the Chiefs for a little Sunday night football.
I think this game is it's got me excited for another Sunday night primetime game. Probably not as excited for the Chiefs Patriots last week, but Andy Dalton and that Bengals team is another one of those kind of overshadowed team, being in the division has been run by the Steelers for years, and that's being overshadowed by the Bell, debacle over there, whether or not he's going to play. But this Bengals team has been very solid all year, this offense, and they're going up against a weaker defense. And I think they're going to be able to put up big numbers. And then obviously you got, the triple threat over on the other side between Patrick Mahomes, Hunt, and Hill, that they're always going to put up big numbers. So I think this game is going to come down to the wire. It's probably going to be a high-scoring game, and I'm really excited for this one.
Yeah, that should be a good game. I think, like Fallen said, man, this both high-power offenses could be a blowout or a shootout. Not blowout. I think it'll be close. The Chiefs defense still kind of sucks. They're going to put up big points and everything, and the Bengals got Burfict back, who will probably play the next 2 games and then be suspended for the rest of his life because he's a terrible human being. But I picked the Bengals a few weeks ago to win against the Falcons, and I'm gonna pick them again here tonight. Yeah, this is my upset of the week, I think. And I don't know. The Chiefs, they always start. They start off hot, and they kind of just fall back into a mediocre team. And I'm gonna pick the Bengals as my.
All right, you guys heard it here first. He picks the Bengals. I'm gonna disagree. I think simply because every time I went against the Chiefs this year, they've lost, except for against the Patriots. So I'm just gonna go with Mahomes and the Chiefs this week, just because it's not something I want to deal with again. Marking that red, but the Chiefs, like you said, are a very one-dimensional team as far as offense defense goes. They don't really have a defense. Their offense is on the field for so little of time because they're so explosive and fast. Their defense just doesn't have time to rest. So they're just out in the field getting destroyed. And then Patrick Mahomes, Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill go down in 4, 5, 6 plays, score, He has 18 touchdowns in the season. He's doing really well, Patrick Mahomes. All of them are. Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins. This whole team is so good. And like I agree. I think like you were saying, Andy Dalton and his Bengals team is one of those teams that not a lot of people talk about. And I think that's because this year we have the Rams, the Chiefs, and the Patriots. Everyone's just talking about those three teams all the time. You go on Twitter, who are they talking about? Oh, Patrick Mahomes. Who are they talking about? Oh, the Rams are unstoppable. Like every ESPN, NFL announcer is just slobbing on these guys' knobs hard. And you're looking at these other quarterbacks like Andy Dalton, who, he's throwing 65%, but he has 14 touchdowns on the season. Like, I don't even know if that's been on Reddit's front page because no one just cares about this team for some reason. And they're doing all right. They're 4-2. Like they're doing really well. But I don't know.
Yeah. And at least AJ Green has some touchdowns there, Julio Jones.
Right? He's 5 now. But, so like you look at this division, and right now I think the Bengals are probably going to win the AFC North. And, which would be good. I hope they win, and I hope the Browns somehow get the wild card and the Steelers don't even make it. I would love that. Change up the AFC a little bit.
I think you're right, because like the AFC, like thinking on it now, like with how the AFC North, like how like close that's gonna be, and then you got two teams from the AFC West that are both dominant, in the Chargers and the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Like that wild card spot's gonna be pretty tough come by. It's gonna be really hard fought for here at the end of the season.
Another division with a team doing really well is the AFC East with the Dolphins and the Patriots. I think now that we're getting to that midway point in the season, we're gonna start seeing some teams pull ahead in their division, some teams fall behind. But normally I feel like it's happened a little bit earlier than this, and like you're like, there's a clear front runner. There's a clear front runner. But like so little of these divisions have front runners.
Yeah, I feel like, you got your divisions each year that are always close. Like usually the NFC South is pretty close. But I think this year more teams, like more divisions are closer. Like usually you got divisions like typically the AFC North or the AFC East where it's like, oh yeah, Patriots and Steelers again got this division on lockdown.
And when Peyton Manning was there, it was just the Broncos, the Patriots, and the Steelers every single year. And then
exactly,
and then probably the Colts with Andrew Luck, but I don't know. And then
I think the AFC is a little bit more, especially that wild card slot is going to be a little bit more competitive this year.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And I don't think it's going to be like scraping the bottom of the barrel for the wild card slot this year.
Yeah,
you could easily have, a 9-10 win team in that wild card slot over there with the Chargers or the Chiefs, depending which one of them get it.
Right.
But even if you look at the NFC too, man, like I could see a 9-win team go from that place too, man. And like some of these teams are at 500 or below that.
Yeah, it's gonna be some teams lipping into the playoffs, but yeah, there's definitely gonna be teams there that are in tough divisions like that are gonna have a lot of wins that you're gonna be like, how don't they, like, they deserve this bye, but they can't get it because they just happen to be in the division that the Chiefs are in, or happen to be in the division that the Rams are in.
The NFC only has 2 teams that have more than 4 wins. 4 or more wins.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 teams are sitting at 3 wins. And like the Lions could easily just be, I say this all the time because I'm a Lions fan, but they could be 4-1 right now, but they're 2-3 because who knows what's going on in NFL right now? Nobody. Like everything's just crazy every single week.
Yeah, I think just how last week went is like a perfect like cap of like show of how the NFL has been this season.
Mm-hmm.
Like just how the bizarreness, like you're looking at it and you're like, how the hell did this happen? And that's just how the NFL's been. And I mean, it kind of sucks, if you want your team to do good, but at the same time, as a football fan in general, you got to enjoy it because change up is good. Like going into a season being like, oh yeah, it's probably going to be the Patriots and whoever the NFC can limp into the Super Bowl again. You know, it's not that fun. But having like this change and these different teams coming in, that makes it a whole lot more interesting.
Yeah, I agree. But I just realized how long we've been talking, so I'm gonna move along real quick. Giants, Falcons, last game. Who do you guys got winning? Monday Night Football. One sentence each.
Atlanta. I think the Giants in their locker room. I mean, Odell Beckham going in before halftime. That just shows that there is some discontent in this team. This team is not happy with Eli Manning at the helm, and that's not complete bias on me, just not being a Eli Manning fan. But everybody knows I don't like the guy. But that team is in a rough spot. And the Falcons, they're struggling on defense, but their offense is still there despite not being able to get Julio the ball. The running back situation is a little curious.
That's way more than one sentence.
Coleman to step up by now, but I definitely think even with Sharkon Barkley, Atlanta Falcons will be able to pull this one out.
All right, Rob, who you got winning?
Yeah, give me Atlanta. Giants are choking harder than Fallen was just a second ago.
I got Falcons winning as well. Although I want Saquon Barkley to score me like 40 points again, but if the Giants lose this week, they're done. I feel like you can't come back from a 1-6, even if they're only 2 games behind. Yeah, I think they're pretty much done if they lose this game. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up today. We went a little bit longer than I thought we were supposed to go. So, oops. Anyway, thank you guys for coming out. Make sure you guys hit that follow button on Twitter. You can follow us at 32andGoal. And follow us on YouTube. And we don't have an Instagram because we don't want one. I'm not going to post pictures of me sitting here. But, thank you guys for stopping by. I appreciate it. And that is it. So I will see you guys next week.